remember when I said that the ACA premium tax credit extensions that Democrats are asking for is popular? When I say popular, I mean really popular. I mean like puppies in apple pie popular. According to new polling from the KFF, a whopping 78% of people say that Congress should extend those tax credits. That, of course, includes 92% of Democrats, no surprise, but also 82% of independents, and even 59% of Republicans. Let's dig even deeper into that last number, because this is very interesting. A full 57% of self-identified MAGA supporters.
Donald Trump's administration is once again in the middle of political chaos. This time over health care. The Affordable Care Act tax credits are about to expire, and here's the shocking part. Even a majority of Trump's own voters want them extended. But somehow, he might not even know what's going on inside his own administration.
According to new reporting from the Wall Street Journal, Trump's advisors are worried that the GOP will take the blame for allowing health care subsidies to expire, raising costs for millions of Americans ahead of next year's midterm elections. His advisors even acknowledged privately this week that allowing the subsidies to expire could cause political headaches for a president who was elected in large part because of voter frustrations with inflation and the rising cost of living.
So let's get this straight. 57% of MAGA supporters want these credits, but Trump's team is blocking them anyway. That's not owning the libs. That's hurting your own base. Even his advisors are quietly worried that this could blow up before the next election.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said after his White House meeting with Trump that after laying out the healthcare consequences to him, Trump, quote, looked like he heard about them for the first time. It has been increasingly clear that Trump's own people seem to leave him in the dark on the goings-on and key decisions, really, being made in his own administration. I mean, consider this headline from the New York Times earlier this week. Trump cuts to counterterrorism funds for New York reach $187 million.
And here's the craziest part. Reports say Trump might not even know this is happening. Apparently, when Senate Democrats explained the healthcare fallout to him, he looked like he was hearing it for the first time.
According to new reporting from the New York Times today, Trump didn't know about the cuts until New York's Governor Kathy Hochul called him and urged him to change course. And today, he did change course and said it was his great honor to do so, as if he was providing some magical new funding for law enforcement and not just not doing the cuts that his administration had approved. If those cuts had stayed in place, it would have been the largest federal defunding of police operations in New York in decades. So, of course, he reversed course. But apparently, somehow, the president of the United States didn't have a clue that they were being put in place in the first place. And when he finally got wind of what his own administration had done, he threw things in reverse. Not a great look.
It's not just health care. This same pattern is repeating across Trump's administration. Massive decisions being made, and Trump completely in the dark. Just look at what happened with the counterterrorism funding in New York.
Donald Trump is the king of creating his own fires and then putting them out. He did that back in December with the budget deal where he threw in the debt ceiling and then he pulled out the debt ceiling and claimed that he was giving a great sacrifice. I think one of the things that we realize now on the Democratic side is we're not playing Donald Trump's shenanigans and his games anymore. What we are fighting for is simply health care for Americans, for millions and millions of Americans. You listed some of it. There's more. And the Republican bill that they claim they just want to pass as a clean CR is far from clean. It's very dirty. It's very one-sided. But most importantly, it cuts health care for millions of Americans, and it increases premiums for tens of millions more. And so we're not going with Donald Trump's games and his play acting of, AI, or I'm going to cut things and then put them back and act like the savior. The fact of the matter is they cut counterterrorism funding in New York City, where 9/11 occurred in my district. And then they realized, oh, shoot, That's probably not good. Let's put it back. And this has happened time and time again. And it will continue to happen because this is a completely chaotic administration that has no North Star other than Russ Vought trying to cut as many jobs and as much funding that Americans rely on as possible.
So he reverses the decision and suddenly acts like a hero, as if he personally funded the police. But let's be clear, this was his administration's mistake to begin with. He created the fire, then took credit for putting it out.
It really seemed like he didn't understand that the filibuster exists in the Senate, and in order to pass a budget, you need 60 votes, which requires Democratic votes. It felt like he was back in the big ugly bill land where that was reconciliation. They only needed 50 votes. It is startling that a president of any kind, certainly a second-term president, would not understand the filibuster and would not understand that Senate Democrats are necessary in order to pass a budget and keep the government open. And if he is actually saying that as if he believes it, he certainly knew that before. And so this is senility, I think, rearing its ugly head.
Let me ask you to put your former prosecutor hat on for a second before I let you go. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later in the show, but we learned late tonight that an FBI agent in the Washington field office has been fired for refusing to arrest and perp walk James Comey. And I just wanted to get your reaction to that.
And when it comes to the government shutdown fight, it's the same pattern. He's playing political games while millions of Americans risk losing affordable health coverage. Even Republican lawmakers admit he doesn't fully understand what's happening.
It is unbelievable. It is the bottom just gets lower and lower and lower. First, a completely bogus and politicized charge against James Comey. It will not stand. It may not even make it to trial. But then to try to use the criminal justice system in a completely improper and unethical way to embarrass James Comey by arresting and perp walking someone who was charged with false statements made 5 years ago and had agreed to surrender as it already violates every norm and policy of the Department of Justice, but worse yet, just shows how much of a political arm the Department of Justice is for Donald Trump. And the fact that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel continue to do his political bidding is shocking. And there need to be repercussions. And certainly the Republicans in Congress have to stand up. If they care at all about their own words, their own promises, their own beliefs, and their own oath. They clearly only do when there are Democrats in office. But this is descending in a really, really dangerous way.
This isn't leadership. It's chaos on repeat. From healthcare to counterterrorism to justice. Trump's administration keeps stumbling, reversing itself, and pretending that's strategy. But voters, including many of his own, are starting to see through it. When even MAGA voters agree with Democrats on healthcare, that tells you something. The chaos inside Trump's team isn't just bad politics, it's bad governance. So the real question is, how long before his own supporters realize that the policies hurting them are coming from inside the House?